You may have thought all the major royal moments of the year were over, but hold your horses because one more is coming up. Scotland will celebrate the accession of King Charles IE with its own festivities on Wednesday. The ceremonial events are part of Holyrood Week, also known as Royal Week, which takes place annually and customarily sees the monarch travel to various regions in the country celebrating Scottish culture, achievement, and community. King Charles and Queen Camilla will be joined by Prince William and Kate, who go by their Scottish titles of the Duke and Duchess of Rothesay when north of the border. Scotland will welcome the new king and queen in July with a series of events to mark the coronation. A people's procession, a royal procession, a national service of Thanksgiving, and a gun salute will take place in Edinburgh, First Minister Humza Yousaf said in a statement ahead of the event on July 5. Yousaf said individuals representing various communities and organizations would take part and said there would be opportunities for the public to join the fun too. The Thanksgiving service will be held at St. Giles Cathedral, which many will remember as a stop on the Queen's final journey back to London from Balmoral last year. There, the Scottish crown jewels will be presented to the king. The most important pieces of the regalia are the crown, scepter, and sword, which date back to around the early 16th century. Known as the Honours of Scotland, the items are made of gold, silver, and precious gems and are the oldest crown jewels in Britain. The crown was first worn by James V at the coronation of Queen Mary of Guise in 1540. Where the solid silver scepter came from is more mysterious, though. Some believe it was a papal gift from Innocent VI to James of Enforced. The items were first used together at the coronation of the 9-month-old Mary, Queen of Scots, in 1543. The precious regalia is kept at Edinburgh Castle, but the crown jewels were once spirited from their home for protection from Oliver Cromwell's army between 1651 and 1616. Much of the English regalia of the time was obliterated during these years, and new items had to be commissioned following the restoration of the monarchy. After the Act of Union in 1707, when English and Scottish parliaments united, the honours were locked away in a chest until their rediscovery in 1818 by famous novelist Walter Scott, who also found a mysterious silver wand. Another item that will be present will be the Stone of Scone or Stone of Destiny, which some keen royal fans will know featured in the Westminster Abbey coronation in early May. The stone, which had been used as a seat in the coronation of Scottish kings for centuries, is now kept in Scotland but was carried down to London for Charles' first big day. The honours will move from Edinburgh Castle to St. Giles in a grand people's procession featuring 100 individuals representative of Scottish life and escorted by the King's Bodyguard for Scotland, the Royal Company of Archers and an Honour Guard of Armed Forces personnel, as well as the Royal Regiment of Scotland Shetland Pony mascot Corporal Crochan IV. As they file down the Royal Mile, music will be provided by cadet musicians from the Combined Cadet Force Pipes and Drums 51 Brigade Cadet Military Band. There will also be a royal procession from the Palace of Holyrood House to the Cathedral, supported by the Royal Marine Band Scotland, and the pipes, drums, and bugles of the 2nd Battalion. The Royal Regiment of Scotland. A 21-gun salute from the 12th Regiment Royal Artillery will sound at the end of the service before the royal procession returns to Holyrood House. George Gross, a visiting research fellow in theology at King's College London, said it would be a poignant moment for Charles, who stood vigil over his mother's coffin in the same space less than a year ago. This service of thanksgiving is a complex and important event for the monarchy that must as always stand above politics, all the more so in an era of devolution and with the SNP in charge of government at Holyrood, he said. Next news. Ohio Go vow. Mike DeWine has asked President Joe Biden to issue a major disaster declaration for the February 3 train derailment in East Palestine that released massive amounts of toxic chemicals, triggered evacuations, and extensive ongoing cleanup efforts. In his letter to Biden, the Republican governor said the declaration is needed to ensure that the state and federal government use all resources available to step in and provide the community with needed assistance. The letter notes that currently no unmet needs have been reported to the state because of the voluntary assistance of rail operator Norfolk Southern. The company has reimbursed citizens and local governments for costs related to the incident, but that voluntary assistance may end at any time, according to DeWine, leaving the state in the lurch. I have determined that this incident is of such severity and magnitude that effective response is beyond the capabilities of the state and the affected local governments, and that supplementary federal assistance is necessary, he wrote. The freight train was transporting hazardous chemicals when it derailed in the northeastern Ohio town of about 4,700 people, leading to a days-long fire. Amid fears of a catastrophic explosion of one of those chemicals, the highly flammable vinyl chloride, residents were evacuated and crews conducted a controlled burn of the chemical, averting an explosion but causing new health concerns. Because of the unique nature of this incident, the state is still working to identify current needs and evaluate the future impacts this disaster will have on individuals and the community. The governor went on. In addition to the physical and mental health impacts, there have been economic impacts. Homeowners and business have seen property value decline and loss of business as people are hesitant to come into the community. Cleanup of the site continues today, 5 months after the derailment, according to DeWine. The letter also includes a summary of the effects of the derailment. Residents continue to report medical conditions and are concerned that the air and water were impacted by the chemicals released during this incident. He wrote, residents have reported rashes, headaches, and other symptoms that they believe may be tied to the derailment. Monday was the deadline to make the request set by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, according to a news release from the governor's office. The agency denied a June 13 request from the Ohio government for additional time to request the disaster declaration. As of a June update, more than 20 million gallons of wastewater have been removed in total from East Palestine, according to the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency. Approximately 11,400 tons of excavated soil is still awaiting removal, while 66,300 tons have been removed. Officials said the U.S. Secret Service is investigating after cocaine was found at the White House on Sunday night. The discovery in the West Wing, which contains the Oval Office and other working areas for presidential aides and staff, led to a brief evacuation. Secret Service agents found the suspicious powder in an area that is accessible to tour groups while doing a routine inspection. President Joe Biden and his family were at Camp David in Maryland at the time. A senior law enforcement official told the BBC's US partner CBS News the substance was found in a storage facility routinely used by White House staff and guests to store mobile phones. The White House complex was closed as a precaution around 2045 local time, CZR 45 GMT, on Sunday after it was discovered. A preliminary test later confirmed the substance was cocaine. The Secret Service will lead a full review of how it got into the White House, officials told CBS. They said cameras and entrance logs would be examined to determine who had access to the area where it was found. Cocaine is a Schedule I drug under the Controlled Substances Act, meaning it has a high potential for abuse, according to the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration. The West Wing is a large multi-level part of the White House that contains the offices of the President of the United States, including the Oval Office and the Situation Room.